Welcome back to this edition of World Talks. Anna Kalczyńska, good morning. We will do what it takes. That's the message from the Baltic Summit in Helsinki. NATO has responded to safeguarding critical infrastructure, but plans to do more, said Secretary General of NATO Mark Rutte. The Baltic Sentry program would involve frigates, maritime patrol aircraft and a small fleet of naval drones as a response to a string of acts of sabotage to telecommunication and energy cables. But what if the Russian shadow fleet gets protection? To discuss this topic, we're joined now by Damian Szacawa, Director of Baltic Department, Institute of Central Europe. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
NATO has responded to safeguarding critical infrastructure, but more must be done, said the Secretary General Mark Rutte on Tuesday at the Baltic Sea NATO countries summit in Helsinki, right before he announced the launch of a new NATO initiative called Baltic Sentry. What's the plan for this initiative?
Well, the Baltic Sentry is a mission made together by Baltic NATO states around the Baltic Sea, but not only, to protect, to monitor the critical undersea infrastructure, as you said, responsible for energy and telecommunications links between states in this region. At the beginning, this mission is planned for 3 months, for 90 days, with the proposal to be extended if there will be a need to do. And yes, this is another step after a series of attacks made by vessels probably belonging to the so-called Russian Grey Fleet. So yeah, it's kind of response, political response, supported now with a presence on the ground, a presence in the Baltic Sea.
Damian Szacawa, excuse me for a minute, sir, but we would like to show our viewers the moment of arrival of President Volodymyr Zelenskyy right now at the Prime Minister office. We see Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Prime Minister Donald Tusk entering the building of the Chancellery of the Prime Minister in Aleje Ujazdowskie right now. Volodymyr Zelenskyy's visit is scheduled to begin with that meeting. Then it will be followed by a press conference. The next official engagement will be a visit to Polish President Andrzej Duda at the Belvedere Palace. And his talks today will be the top two politicians are expected to cover further support for Kiev in its fight against Russia, of course. So Prime Minister and Volodymyr Zelenskyy are in talks right now, and we are coming back to our interview. So, as we understand, Mark Rutte said that the ship's captains must understand that potential threats to our infrastructure will have consequences, including possible boarding, impounding, and arrests. So, is there such a law right now in existence? And what and when and how will change in this respect?
Well, of course, we need more details to be announced by respective maritime forces. We will see that states in the region declared the readiness to deploy frigates, drones, but also aircrafts to monitor the situation in this region. And well, we could think what would be the next. Definitely, there is no challenge actually regarding some objects which are so far on the sanction list. So the so-called contact of interests facilities. These are facilities whose activities are considered to potentially threaten the interest of the state. So we know what states are included on this list, and they will be monitoring, checking, and so on to prevent out potential harmful accidents towards the Baltic Sea marine environment. And this is one thing. The other, let's say, hypothetical situation in which Russian ships would begin to protect merchant ships, including the Shadow Fleet, is another scenario that should be considered by states. And well, to use a general term, I would say that it should be met with a strong and consistent response from the allies.
Exactly, consistent response from the allies. So we heard an unconfirmed information about the Russian ship maneuvering close to the Polish Nordic gas pipeline. But what if a severance attack takes place indeed at some point? What could be a potential consequence for that?
Well, this is another hypothetical situation, and I do believe that the communication made by our ministry, from our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as from maritime agencies responsible for monitoring the situation, the maritime awareness is right. So still we are talking about a hypothetical situation. But we should be prepared that there will be some similar movements in the future, because look what's happened, and what is the common denominator of what's happened in December this year. All these perpetrators have carried out these activities against telecommunication and energy cables with their AIS active, which means in reality that it was well, our enemy, or this, Russia, or maybe other states, in a clear way signaling their ability to harm our critical undersea infrastructure. And this is part of a much wider campaign of escalating hybrid asymmetric actions, which are designed to test NATO reactions on the first hand, but on the other hand, and taking into account the ongoing visit of President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, in Poland, it's also an aim to destabilize nations supporting Ukraine in the current war against Russia, in current defense war against Russia.
All right, you say that we should be ready for potential incidents, but apparently we're not ready. Lieutenant Maximilian Dura, let me quote him. For the time being, some states, including Poland, lack vessels that could react quickly to the sort of incidents we've seen off the coast of Sweden, Finland and Estonia. So why isn't Poland ready?
Well, of course, it's a consequence of long an investment in our maritime. So we are already built a new frigates the program called Miecznik. We need submarines. So we are still waiting for the final decision in program Orca. So yeah, it's true that we need much more tools, let's say, to react properly and to monitor. So that's the reason why we need an allies here. It's our partners from Nordic states like Sweden with their capacity, but this is the reason also why we need other states from Northern Europe and Western Europe, like the Great Britain and their GEF initiative, for example.
Exactly. The GEF initiative is an initiative which is absolutely in our Polish interest, yet we, as Poland, do not participate in it effectively. So why is it so? Is it because we lack those ships, or are there other political reasons for that?
Well, there are some chances that we will participate in such common endeavors like GEF. The question is on what basis, or will it be a GAF plus, like it was, and we had in the past a couple of meetings between our state representatives and representatives from the GF group, or it will be a much more, let's say, a detailed cooperation. We have some capabilities to protect definitely our sphere of interest, including the LNG terminal, including also, our internal waters, territorial sea. So that's true. We need more, to monitor, to increase our situational awareness. We need more to also to use Finnish experiences. How should we react towards such actions? So we need enhanced maritime monitoring. We need still economic sanctions, and we need diplomatic actions and diplomatic pressures that will signal our readiness and political will to move forward. So that's, in part, this Baltic Sentry mission and the meeting between head of states of governments. Well, it's part of the full picture. What is going on? How our reaction towards this asymmetric threat, towards this hybrid warfare, looks in the Northern Europe, in the Baltic Sea region.
Damian Szacawa, Director of the Baltic Department, Institute of Central Europe. Thank you so much, sir, for those comments and your insight. And that's it in this edition of World Talks. But please stay tuned to TVP World for more features and more news. Thank you.